What's up, Bills Mafia? I'm Fernando Schmude. This is your leading the charge, and I'm here today to preview this Week 1 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Alongside me to join the show, I'm glad to have Rob Crippen from Nickel City Crew. Rob, welcome to the show, brother. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Fernando, man, I really appreciated that. The pleasure is all mine, man. Let's dig into it, man. Greetings from Nickel City Crew. We go live every single Friday at 6 o'clock. Myself and my co-host, Dump Truck. We did our preview last night, and I'm fired up, man. I really am fired up for this season.
Awesome. Yeah, brother. I can't wait for this game. But at the same time, man, it gotta be against the Ravens Week 1 already, like, my goodness.
I said it last night. I said I named the episode no easy start, and I mean that just kind of encapsulates it because of the fact that this is an opponent that can hurt you a multitude of ways. And man, I wish I had a cupcake to start the season, but this is how
for sure. Especially thinking about last season when we started against the Cardinals, and it was a slow start, right? We had a rough first half, and then in the second half we could come back and win that game, but it wasn't easy. And now we didn't have Josh playing the preseason at all, and we haven't seen much from this new wide receiver group. Why not, right? Because thinking about the group from last season when we had Coop, we had Hollins playing a big role, and now it's different with Coleman entering his second year. We have big expectations, but we got to see it on the field. I just remember about how I had big expectations for Kincaid last season, and unfortunately it didn't happen, right? And now with Coleman, I think kind of like the same way. Like, I'm expecting huge things from him, but we got to see on the field. And then Palmer and Moore didn't look good in the preseason, but no Josh, so we can't really evaluate, right? And Shakir coming back from injury. So yeah, I'm anxious for this game, and at the same time a little bit worried because, man, when I look at this Ravens team since last year, to be honest, I can't really say, look, the Bills have a better roster than them or is a better team than them. I don't know. How do you see, looking on paper, those depth charts? How do you evaluate them?
The Ravens are stacked, Fernando. I mean, period. They're stacked. They've got studs all over the place, from Lamar, who's an MVP, a two-time MVP, just like we've got an MVP quarterback as well. But you've got Derrick Henry, who just seems to be the ageless one and just keeps going, ticking and ticking. He just won't go anywhere. Body's in phenomenal shape. Then you look on the defensive side of the ball, they've got some studs. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, who just got his contract a few weeks ago, he's a stud. You look at a guy like their linebacker. I mean, he's tough, man. Like, those are premier players. So for me, the team is they're just a better team in respects to their roster, top to bottom. So for us, we've got to find a way to nibble around the edges and find their way to get some type of advantages. And you're absolutely right. When you look at the offense, like you were just talking about, it's everybody eats, 2.0, and they're bringing it back. And Joe Brady loves that type of approach. So we'll see what it's like in respects to that. I'm happy that the offensive line is intact with Aaron Cromer. It looks like it's a good unit. So I expect big things from them, along with James Cook behind him and Jimbo and doing his thing with those other running backs. But the receivers are kind of a mystery. I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm looking for Kincaid to step up. This has kind of got to be the year for him. Otherwise, I don't even know if you pick up that fifth-year option in the offseason for him. Coleman, it's time, and he's got to take his step forward. He had some good moments last year, and then he got hurt, and he kind of just disappeared when he came back from that injury, from the wrist injury. And then, you swap out Cooper for Palmer. So Palmer's going to have a big role. I mean, he's paid like a decent-sized receiver. So, he's got to show up. I never really saw much of him with the Chargers, but now is his time, So it'll be interesting to see how they all come together, because this everybody eats approach, it seems, Fernando, as much as we may not like it, it's here to stay. So, it'll be interesting to see. But this is a big test week 1 against a team that's very capable of beating you a multitude of ways. So I'll be interested to see McDermott's defense and how they attack it, because this is a big, heavy lift.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to dive deeper on both sides of the ball and look at those depth charts and all those players, and talk about some schemes as well. Bills Mafia, please hit that like button, subscribe to my own Fernando Schmude channel, also to Rumblings Network. We are out there creating content to Bills Mafia, from Bills Mafia to the Bills Mafia, and also with content at buffalorumblings.com, writing content there. I have my season preview already up there, so if you haven't read it yet, please check it out. So Rob, I'm glad you mentioned the Chargers. They are actually they are here in Brazil. Actually,
I know. I was thinking of you last night watching that game.
Yeah, they played the Chiefs last night here in Brazil. It seems we could figure out the grass. No more sleeping around and having trouble. So I'm glad we got it out of the way, right? But yeah, it's interesting looking at the. It's hard to not talk about the AFC in general when we talk Bills and Ravens, and then we had the Chargers playing the Chiefs last night, right? And I don't know. I think the Chiefs last season they already weren't as usual. They weren't the same. They were weird. They were strange.
They were lucky. They were lucky. You could call it what you want to call it. They were lucky. 7-0 in one-score games.
Unfortunately, only against us, they looked a little bit like their former selves, right? But they weren't the same all year long. And last night didn't help them to change this view of their right. They weren't playing well. It was tough for Mahomes. I think now people used to call me crazy, Rob, because kind of 2 or 3 years ago, all right, I was here in the leading the charge talking why Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, and people were, no, Fernando, you're a homer, you are crazy, you can't say that. But I always
the last 2 years, Fernando. The last 2 years, Josh has been better than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes doesn't look great these last couple of years, so you weren't crazy for that at all. You weren't crazy.
Yeah, but my point is, back in the day when he had that offense clicking, he had Kelsey still in his prime, he had Tyreek Hill and all that speed, he had Andy Reid planning around with all those chess pieces. You could see him playing awesome, and people I think they confused the evaluation. You gotta isolate the quarterbacks and evaluate them, and not evaluate the teams. Patrick Mahomes won against Josh, he's better. The Chiefs beat the Bills, not Mahomes beat Josh. Even in that 13 seconds game, if you take away the stats from the overtime, you focus in the game.
Josh
played as good as Mahomes, but Josh didn't have Tyreek Hill. He didn't have Kelsey. Yeah, he had Diggs still, but Josh always was asked to do more with less. And now Mahomes is kind of in Josh's situation, I see, with Kelsey not in his prime anymore, no Tyreek Hill, all that speed, but really great wide receivers. When you look at Thornton, you look at they have speed, but are they also awesome wide receivers? No, they aren't, not yet. So
I agree.
I can see Mahomes now being asked to do what Josh has been asked to do for a long time now, to run the ball, to throw the ball, to do everything, and he simply doesn't have the physical abilities that Josh has. So I don't see Mahomes being able to survive an entire season being asked to run the ball and throw the ball and do everything by himself, and that's what Josh has been through for a couple of years at least. So people kind of can see it now, and I'm glad. So the time the time helped me in this sense, but last night it was more of this. The Chiefs is struggling. They might not be the best team in the AFC anymore, and also their performance in the Super Bowl showed they might not be. Everybody thought, the Bills would be better against the Eagles. The Ravens would definitely be better against the Eagles. And last night, again, the Chargers look interesting, but thinking Bills and Ravens, I see national media having the Bills maybe as their Super Bowl picks and maybe as an equal to the Ravens, and I can see it. I'm a Bills fan. I want to see it, but I can see the Bills at the same level as the Ravens as a team, and we're going to dive deeper on both sides of the ball. And the only reason, in my opinion, we can really put them in the same level is because we know Josh Allen elevates everybody else around him. I don't know if you agree with me on this sense.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I do agree. And I talked about it on my show last night, a bunch, and my co-host and I were kind of going back and forth because,
Yeah.
he's Bill's colored rose glasses, Mafia rose glasses. So he sees everything through that Zuba print. And I understand that. And I'm a fan. I'm just as big of a fan as anybody else, but I also try to keep myself and pride myself on being a realist. This is not a good matchup for us. Last year, I was more concerned about the divisional round game, Fernando, than I was about the AFC Championship and the potential matchup again with Kansas City, because I did a lot of the points that you talked about. I didn't think that Kansas City was that good. I thought that they were getting lucky throughout the year. Like I said, 7-0 in one score games. That's not something that you can replicate. So I was more worried about that Baltimore matchup, Fernando, just because of the matchup. It's because of the fact that they can just do more in respects to, there's more ways that they can beat you. They can beat you on the ground. Now, Lamar has now proved that he is a pocket passer that has the ability to run, just like our quarterback is a pocket passer with the ability to run. So it's not that you can just stop the run, stop Derrick Henry, and then that's the end of the game plan for the Ravens. No, then you've got to stop Lamar throwing the ball. He's got some receivers. He's got, Zay Flowers and, Rashard Bateman, and he's got tight ends, Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who's going to miss this game, it looks like, on tomorrow night. But irregardless, it's a situation where they've just got a lot of different ways that they can beat you, which makes you dangerous. And defensively, it's the same thing. They've got weapons all over the place. So for me, I look at this matchup as a bad matchup, and that does not mean that we cannot win Sunday night. We know that Lamar, is turnover prone sometimes in the bigger games, so you can kind of look to that, and hopefully you can get the ball back, on the defensive side of the ball. But boy, you've just got to play a real clean football game. And I'm wondering, and I'll ask you as well, because I was wondering last night. I asked my co-host DT if maybe Joe Brady and Sean McDermott, they employ more of a ball control game plan, where they're going to try to limit Baltimore's possessions and kind of, stretch and shorten the game a little bit, because you don't want to have those cornerbacks exposed. We've got some interesting choices to come up for cornerback 2 tomorrow, between whether it be, Dorian Strong or Jamarcus Ingram, whoever they go with Trey White being out. So for me, it's a bad matchup. And sometimes it's just like that in professional sports. You just got a team that you don't match up well against. We got lucky in that divisional game to get out of there with a win. I don't care what anybody says in Bills Mafia. We were lucky to get out of there with a win. And to me, it's going to be a heavy lift. Like I said, you're going to have to play real clean football, and then you're probably going to have a couple breaks as well.
Yeah, man, it's funny because I've been very critical of McDermott and his staff in the playoffs, right? Not in the regular season. I love their regular season work. They are one of the best in the business when talking regular season, no doubt. But when talking playoffs, when you are a defensive-minded coach and your defense allows so many points during playoffs, something's wrong. And it's funny because against the Ravens, it was actually maybe one of the best playoff performances ever, because everybody was talking. If you go back in time, everybody was talking about how the Ravens are great against the run, and how the Bills wouldn't be able to run the ball because that was the number one run-stopping defense in the league. And I was curious because I was like, okay, now we got to see how about this Bills aerial attack. And the Bills came out running and pounding the rock, and I believe they caught them off guard a little bit, running the ball over them. Cook played great. The offensive line played great. And the first half, the Bills could open a lead, running the ball and catching them off guard. But second half, they adjusted and they stopped the run, and our passing game wasn't on point like it was in all season long. And then they started a comeback, right? Lamar kind of could settle down and stop turning the ball over, started playing better, and Henry
was carving us up.
And if it wasn't a big time play by Terrell Bernard, who's a key player in my opinion, I'm a Bernard guy. Everybody knows I was high on Bernard since the draft, and people. Maybe that's the best take I ever had here, right? I got some respect from some people because of Bernard, Rob. Yeah. Because I was confident he could be that guy, and
that was a huge play, game-changing play with that fumble.
Play changed the game, right? And then afterwards, the drop by Andrews, that they couldn't tie the game, take it to maybe to the overtime, and we would have the ball again. But
I know,
the momentum was theirs. It's undeniable in my opinion. Absolutely. And So a couple of plays and a good game plan to start the game for the first half, I think made all the difference that game. Now, just like us against the Chiefs coming from the playoffs, now they will adjust, and that's dangerous. I'm curious to see.
They've been thinking about us all off season. They've been thinking about it. I mean, you heard Lamar multiple times talking about how he regretted that game, how they're ready to go, how they're excited for it. Listen, we're going to have to match intensity, Fernando, because they're going to be ready to play. Now, I understand they're going into a hostile environment. The Ralph is going to be full tilt. It's the last home opener at the Ralph. So obviously, Bills fans, the Bills Mafia, we're going to be really ready to go and full throttle tomorrow night. But the Ravens are not going to be intimidated by the crowd. They're not going to be intimidated by the moment. We know that they, have some revenge, to a certain extent to exact. So for me, I think that it's going to be very important how they start the game. Like you kind of talked to and spoke to, it's going to be important that you don't start out slow because you've got to set the tone. You're at home. The crowd is behind you. Defensively, I'm really, really interested to see some of these new pieces because let's be honest, Fernando, Brandon Beane restocked. McDermott's covered once again with defensive guys through the draft, through free agency. There's really no more excuses for McDermott. There's no, all the McDermott apologists, there's no more excuses for him. And I understand that injuries are sometimes a reason and not an excuse, but you got to find a way. I'm sorry. You got to find a way. You've got this revamped defensive line with Bosa and the interior with TJ Sanders and Deontay Walker in rotation. You've got to find a way to get it done and maybe get a pass rush to help cover up for your cornerback too, who might be struggling or who might be a little bit green. So for me, it's going to be incumbent on those guys up front to make sure that they get some type of push, keep Lamar in the pocket, get your rush lanes and make sure that he's contained so that he doesn't leak out the sides, and then find a way to affect him. I mean, you can't let Derrick Henry and him run all over you, and then you cannot let him get outside the pocket, and then also you can't just let him sit back there with all this time and pick you apart like he did towards the second half of that game in the divisional round last year. It's going to be important for a fast start on both sides of the ball, Fernando. They've got to start quick because you don't want to fall behind to this team because then they can really start to lean on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree, Rob. And even thinking about strategy, if they are gonna try to pound the rock again against their defense, or if they're gonna this time air it out to begin the game, spread out and try to make them defend the pass. If they're gonna try to explore some matchups, we're gonna look at them in the depth chart soon. So the Bills will need to make some tough choices, because just like you said, looking at the roster, look on paper, they are stacked. They are the better team. And just like you said, I can't putting myself in the place of in the shoes of those Ravens players. I have no doubts in my mind. They think something like, man, we let it slip away last season. We let them open a huge lead in the first half, and we were better, but we couldn't beat them. So they are coming for vengeance. They are coming for a statement game again.
Yes.
And again, the Bills, it's a huge opportunity for the Bills to prove that, no, it wasn't just one game. No, we deserve more recognition as individuals, as players. Maybe Bernard, Benford, Bosa now trying to come back as a big time player in the league.
Right.
Those guys have their honor to be like, no, look, we are better than people give us credit, right? And try to show it to the world. So that's something interesting to keep an eye on, and I will be paying attention to that for sure during the game tomorrow. Bills Mafia, hit that like button, subscribe, please help us here, support us at Rumblings Network. Rob, I brought out courtesy of ESPN here the injury report, right? And looking at Baltimore's injury report, Patrick Ricard is out and Isaiah Likely is out as well. I think those are the biggest guys they should miss, right? Ricard is huge at what they do in the run game, right?
Yeah.
One of those
300-pound fullback.
6 over 300-pound guys, right? So they are missing one of them. And Likely, it's fair to say Likely has been their best tight end since last season.
He is. So, yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's a big loss for them. Mm-hmm.
Both of them out, big losses to their offense. But still, when we look at their depth chart, man, you lose those guys, but you have plenty still. And us, we won't have Davis White. He's doubtful. He's out probably, right?
Yeah, he's not playing.
And then we're gonna already without Hairston in the injury reserve, probably Strong or Ingram, as you said, as an outside corner. We haven't seen Ingram playing outside much. It was always more like replacing Taron Johnson inside or even Ken Lewis.
Right.
And
he got some, but remember he had 2 picks in that Miami game last year.
Against Miami, yes. I love Ingram. I think he's an interesting player for sure.
He would be my choice. He'd be my choice. I don't know much about Dorian Strong, but he's a rookie, is all I know. So that kind of that makes me nervous. I think that they'd be trying to pick on him if he's out there. So we'll see.
Yeah, especially with the way McDermott and Babbage talk, because every time you talk about a rookie, the first time you are even giving props to them, and they are like, "Look, he's a rookie."
Right.
Wait, he's a rookie. So if you're gonna give an excuse because the guy's a rookie, so don't play him. Play the veteran and don't come with excuses, right?
I agree. That makes me nervous.
Just like Tyler Bass. Tyler Bass is out, but with Prater, I believe I'm more confident in Prater than Bass. Sorry, Bass has been good in the playoffs, right? But Prater is experienced. He's got a huge leg. He was kicking well before he got hurt last season.
Right.
So curious to see Matt Prater kicking in Tyler Bass' place, because I genuinely think it might be it for Tyler Bass this season. If Prater can stay healthy and with his experience, maybe he's even an upgrade. We'll see.
We'll see.
But
he's the oldest Buffalo Bill, Fernando, 41 years old. He'll be the oldest Buffalo Bill tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny when I saw that.
Huge. That's nice. Yeah. And then looking at the depth chart, I will start with the Ravens offense, because that's what we've been talking about recently. And even without those guys, we look at this depth chart, courtesy of our lads. I like to use our lads for the depth charts because they update it a lot frequently. So looking at this depth chart, okay, you miss Ricard, right? You miss Likely, but look at it. You still have, they're stacked, right?
They're stacked, man.
But the other Hopkins isn't the same anymore. Man, as your wide receiver, kind of wide receiver 3?
Yeah, I know.
Man,
I know.
If you have Hopkins like over 1-on-1 against Ingram or against a rookie, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel good about it.
I saw Hopkins catching a pass one-handed over Poyer and Hyde on their prime, so I don't like my chances in this kind of throw, And then Bateman and Flowers, all that speed. Mm-hmm. Their offensive line, they are physical group. They can run the ball, even if they are in the best pass blocking unit ever. Right. Lamar Jackson is quick as a cat, so he can escape pressure and run that ball, And
which is why it's important to keep him in that rush lane. Don't let him out the back door. Do not. It'll be a mistake on Sunday night.
And when you talked about all that discussion, that's, in my opinion, has been my opinion for all season long last year. Lamar was awesome, but how can you not give the MVP to Josh when you have another MVP type player in Derrick Henry playing alongside him,
Absolutely.
Because people wanted to talk about Saquon as an MVP. And if Saquon could be an MVP, Derrick Henry could be an MVP as well.
Absolutely.
Right? How many times they started games pounding the rock, running the ball, and then just in the second quarter, Lamar started to throw the ball. And even in our first matchup last season, I remember, man, when Lamar started to throw the ball a little bit, they were already with a 2-scoring lead, and Derrick Henry was killing us. So
That's right.
Man, you
don't forget that regular season game.
Yeah, I'm actually afraid and worried about, because I tend to believe, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope the guys can really step up and play at their best. I hope our coaching staff has a great plan, but I tend to believe the game is more likely to go that route than the playoffs route, and that's what scares me about tomorrow's matchup, because we know Bills Mafia likes to overrate a lot, and even a bad loss against the Ravens tomorrow isn't the end of the world,
No, it's not.
But man,
it's an opportunity. I look at it as an opportunity. Tomorrow night is an opportunity, because you are absolutely right. I talked about it last night on my show, is that we all know that the season is not over either way. There's 16 more games regardless if they lose. The number one seed chatter is not over tomorrow, even with a loss. I just think that the most likely scenario is a close game either way. But if there's one team that's going to blow out the other team, it is not the Bills blowing out the Ravens, in my opinion. I think it would be more like that regular season matchup that they had early in the year, where we were not really in the game. They were blowing us out. And I know Bills Mafia wants to say that we were coming back until Joe Brady had that trick play, but we really were not coming back in that game. It was not that close. So for me, it's going to be very, very important, like I said, for a fast start, because it's a statement game. Fernando, regardless if you like it or not, week one, I know that, you don't want to make and take away too much from one game, but it really is a statement game because it's a big time litmus test where you get to see how good you are against a team that is a heavyweight just like you. And if you're one of the AFC's best, just like Baltimore is, and you're at home, it's almost a situation where you should take care of business at home. But again, the rosters matter. You're absolutely right. The rosters do matter. So again, I think that we're going to have to play a clean game, and then on top of playing clean, still get some turnovers to be successful, because I just think that I just don't like this matchup for that. I know I keep saying it. I sound like I'm on repeat, but I don't like the matchup. I think that there's more ways that they can beat you than I think that the Bills could beat the Ravens. So for me, it's got to be a clean game. It's got to be no turnovers from Josh Allen in the offense. Not a lot of negative plays. If you're going to pound the rock, then you can do that if you want to and test this run defense. That's fine. Or if you want to spread it out and everybody eats 2.0, then that's fine as well. And we'll see how that works. And if everybody's got their fork and plate on the receiving end, because if everybody eats, then that means that everybody's got to bring a fork and a plate and be ready to get some. And that's Coleman, that's Kincaid, that's Palmer. Those guys have to make an impact tomorrow night. They've got to be noticeable on that field. For me, I think it's important that you find a way to limit your mistakes, because of the fact that yes, Lamar, it's true. Lamar will give you the ball. In big situations, he will give you the ball. So you have to find a way to make sure that you're capitalizing on those mistakes, and I guess just let the chips fall from there, man. The defense is the most scary thing about tomorrow night. Our defense against their offense. I do not like the matchup.
Yeah, I have depth chart on the screen now with our defense, and yeah, man, we first got to stop Derrick Henry, because if you can stop him, it makes Lamar's life even easier, right? To avoid those mistakes. And looking at our depth chart, and we have obviously a lot of familiar faces from the first try of McDermott of building a superstar defense. It didn't work out. It worked out for regular season, right? We had at some point the number one regular season defense, but that's the same defense from the 13 seconds. So I hate them. Right. And now, right, we have another chance. McDermott has another chance. He's trying some different stuff. Babbage at the helm, taking the command, calling the shots. New thing arriving to help them. A lot of new coaches and new players. Rookies, a lot of investment, right? So it is kind of like a second chance for Bean and McDermott to build a strong defense that can help Josh Allen against the tougher teams. So that's a huge opportunity to show us that they really can become this kind of unit. It's early, they are young, a lot of rookies, but we gotta compete, right? And we can't really. Otherwise, we are in a situation that maybe we are seeing the Chiefs starting to fall down, but at the same time, the Ravens are at their absolute prime, and maybe we continue to be the second force in the AFC, and second isn't enough. We gotta win it all. So
that's right.
So looking at this defense, man, a lot of things we gotta expect people to step up. I look at it kind of like a lot of big tickets,
but there's so many young guys. Look at the young guys. I don't know about Deion. I don't know what Deion Walker. I mean, he flashed in the preseason, looked good. We'll see. TJ Sanders, same thing. He flashed a little bit in the preseason. We'll see. It's tough when you have young players, Fernando, because they've never been at this level. They've never seen NFL football. So that, for me, that's where my trepidation comes from. And I'll lump Cole Bishop in with that as well, because I feel like his first season was a wash. He didn't participate in training camp. He gets thrown out there. He gets burned against Houston. We didn't really see if he was going to be working or not until the end of the year when he started to play a little bit better. But I'm not convinced about him. He's one of those guys that was out there in that last preseason game getting some reps because he would miss so much time again this offseason. So for me, he's still a huge question mark. So I don't know. I would love, again, Bills Mafia, Zuba colored glasses. I'd love to put those on and say, oh, everything kumbaya, everything is great, but I've got some real concerns. Now, I do like the depth of the defensive line. I think that they obviously have options behind Ed Oliver and DaQuan Jones, but we'll see, man. I mean, this is going to be an audition for a lot of those guys to see if they're ready for this. And I understand that it's unfair and you can't necessarily take a 30,000 foot view and say, well, this is what they are after one game. I understand that, but boy, this is still a big game, and it's an AFC heavyweight matchup. So I think that it's going to be really imperative for some of those young guys to step up tomorrow night, like right off the bat, and we'll see if the stage is too big for them.
Exactly, man. I think looking at this lineup, we gotta have a lot of things going right. To have a lineup that we can compare to the Ravens one. I'm not talking about the Patriots, the Jets, I trust this unit to play a good season and take us to the playoffs again. I'm not talking about it. That's something that's facts. Those are facts. McDermott is a great regular season head coach. This team is good enough to win the division again, no doubt, led by Josh. And this defense can do a good job in the regular season. I have no doubts about it. But looking at matchups against the Ravens of the world, looking at this unit, man, the closest we have here, looking here to superstars are, in my opinion, Terrell Bernard and Christian Benford. Those are the guys that I look at this unit and I say, look, those guys are all-pro kind of guys. Potential. They can play at all-pro level.
Right.
But still, if you talk to everybody else in the league, it's still debatable for them. You still got to see more from them, more consistency or not getting hurt so much or things like that.
Right.
Then you have guys like Milano, Bosa. You want to see them back in their absolute prime, but there are no guarantees about that. Right. I love Matt Milano, but last season, Matt Milano, he wasn't prime Matt Milano anymore, unfortunately. Maybe this year, coming back 1 year removed from that bad injury, maybe he's back.
I heard that he was doing well in camp, but we'll see. It's good. You got to wait for live bullets. Got to wait for live bullets.
Exactly. Right. And then Taron Johnson, obviously, we can trust him to do stuff that few people in the league can do at nickel corner. But still, we're not talking superstar players that change the game all the time. Maybe those three guys, maybe the best bets doing so. And then a lot of guys that we gotta. Can Greg Rousseau step up? Can he become more than he already is? He's a good player, but can he become a superstar rusher? We don't know. Ed Oliver, so much time already with up and downs. I honestly think he always be flawed, because his lack of size. So he can be a difference maker here and there, but I don't believe he can count on him to be our kind of Chris Jones type of defensive tackle. That's where we hope Sanders or Walker.
Consistency has always been his problem. That's been the thing for Ed. He flashes, but then he disappears too sometimes.
Exactly. And then Bishop, we hope he can become a new kind of Hyder Poyer, but we don't know. We got to see more from him.
I haven't seen anything yet, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm very nervous about him.
It's difficult. And looking at what the Ravens have on the offensive side of the ball, man, we need a lot of things going our way and good schemes, and they're playing very well.
And maybe a turnover, or two, maybe
turnovers, and maybe them shooting themselves on their foot, right? That's something that can help us a lot. Yeah, so flipping sides, we're going to talk about our offense and their defense, and I'm going to start with the Ravens defense because, again, I don't think it's not as much as the offensive side of the ball, but still a loaded group on this side of the ball.
They've got studs. Roquan Smith is a stud. Their secondary is full of studs. I mean, Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey. They've got studs back there. Malachi Starks, the best safety in the draft. They end up getting him towards the end of the first round. I mean, they have studs. Jair Alexander, who could never stay healthy, but if he ever does get healthy, I mean, that's another premier corner that they've got with Marlon Humphrey. They've got studs. They've got studs.
Yeah, man. And when I look at the Ravens roster and their team playing, just like I said, I like McDermott, I like Bean, but it seems they are doing their jobs better than us, Like Harbaugh already has a ring. We're talking about a Super Bowl winning coach. So Harbaugh, as good as McDermott can be, I can say he's better than Harbaugh, And the same thing about being in their general manager, because look at this roster, look at the moves they make, look at how they build that offense around Lamar and the defensive side of the ball. Look at this speed at the second level, because you look at the group of Owe, Van Noy, Roquan Smith, and Simpson. Okay, maybe Smith is the only superstar, but look at the speed of those guys. Simpson can fly around,
Yeah.
Owe is like a velociraptor out of the edge, and Van Noy got 12 sacks last season. Then they have Mike Green, the rookie who fell down in the draft, and he's a potential stud, right? So
Matabuke is no joke either on the interior.
Matabuke is awesome, yeah. And then Travis Jones, that huge presence as a nose tackle to occupy blockers and make things tougher for the run game, right? So, yeah, man, they have a huge group of guys, and
it's a heavy lift, Fernando. It's going to be a heavy lift.
Yeah. How do you attack a defense like that? Because, for example, Kincaid, he's supposed to be a mismatch, but he's faster than those linebackers. All right, he's faster than that, and he got a win with being physical and strong hands, and that's exactly where he's struggled recently, I think. And then look at the secondary, just like you said, the weak link here, maybe Jair Alexander, because he hasn't practiced it in a while. So if I had to game plan here, I would try to attack Jair Alexander, but it's a huge risk because he's a stud,
he's a good player,
yeah.
He's a former Pro Bowler, yeah. I mean, Wiggins is no joke. Alexander, if he can stay healthy, is definitely no joke, a former All-Pro. And that, like I said, Marlon Humphrey it doesn't take a backseat to too many guys on the nickel. I mean, our nickel cornerback is probably the best in the league, but Marlon Humphrey's right up there. And Kyle Hamilton is an absolute certified superstar. So
he can play everywhere.
Plays everywhere.
Around and
I don't know, man. I don't.
Man, Avuzzi was Chidobe Avuzzi was a starter everywhere, like Cowboys, Bengals, and
he's on the bench.
Tampa was an interesting prospect in the draft, so they have depth as well there. And man, it's rough, especially looking at our offense. And again, we gotta run that ball well, because everybody eats. Where we're gonna find mismatches here, right? And looking at the Chargers playing yesterday, they kind of could build a pass catching group like this. Like they had Johnston seems to starting to come around and being able to use that size, that speed, and then they have McConkey, who's a separator. They brought back Keenan Allen, who actually I wanted over Palmer. Okay, but let me
don't digress.
It's on record, right? I trust Keenan Allen over Palmer, but Bean trusts Palmer over him, and he's younger. We'll see. But yeah, the Chiefs, the Chargers, they could go best player available with in every situation, snap by snap, like McConkey sometimes, Johnston sometimes, Allen sometimes. And our group is built to supposedly do that.
Yes,
right? But against Alexander, against Humphreys, against Wiggins, against those safeties, which mismatch can Josh exploit? Man, we need guys stepping up, just like we talked about.
You're gonna need guys to create separation. You're gonna need guys to win their routes. You're gonna need, Keon Coleman. It's on you. I mean, what was the biggest thing they talked about him coming out of the draft was that he doesn't create separation. So, he's got to find a way to have his niche in this league and get open for Josh and be available. Josh Palmer. I mean, again, we haven't seen too much of him from the Chargers. So now is your opportunity to have a bigger role. Let's see what you can do. I need you to be, that de facto wide receiver one for Josh, and kind of show up for him. And then on the other side, you've got, listen, Kincaid is one of the more frustrating, players for me, because I wasn't a fan of the pick, but I understood that wide receiver run had happened right before Bean went up there to put in his card. So I understood that a lot of JSN, all those receivers go right before him. So if they wanted a pass catcher, then they go get a pass catcher. But all of the things that they told me about him, I still haven't seen. They said he's a matchup nightmare. They said that he's, think of him more as a receiver.
Best hands ever.
Best hands ever, all of those types of things. So now Josh is culpable with that as well, Fernando. Let's not let him off the hook. I know it's not always popular to talk junk about Josh Allen, and he's admitted it this offseason well that he's got to be better for him. He got Kincaid hurt in that one game on that sideline throw. So, because of that, I guess I heard a stat that, Kincaid is like he's winning on his routes, but he's got some of the worst off-target percentage out of any tight end that's winning on the routes. So if that's a Josh thing, so Josh has got to be better. He's got to be better for him, and I hopefully they've got that chemistry because it's really put up or shut up year for him in that respect. I don't want a fifth-year option for a guy that's going to put up pedestrian numbers. I think his highest total last year was like 52 yards. I need a breakout game. I need to see what everybody keeps telling me that's so special about you. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we know the backfield. We know that James Cook is reliable. We know that we can lean on that run game and that offensive line. But outside of that, again, that's what makes me so nervous about everybody eats again is because I don't know if we've got the dogs. We'll see, but I don't know if we have the dogs. I understand that it's a fun slogan, but you got to put it into action. And I'm not convinced. I mean, maybe you are, but I know that we've talked about it before. So I say that tongue in cheek, but I mean, I'm not convinced yet. They've got to show me that this philosophy can work one more time before I'll shut up.
Yeah, man. And looking, just like you said, the bad matchup, looking at the matchup, man, because, okay, if you can run the ball, but they are good stopping the run. And so it might open us up play action, but then who's going to win their individual matchups? And, man, Palmer, it's a big game for him. First game, it's already a big game because he's supposed to be the man beater, and we expect Coleman to try to win some of those contested catches. We know we can count on Khalil Shakir, but again, Humphries is a great nickel corner. He can man up against Shakir and hold his own. Mm-hmm. But now maybe Palmer against Alexander coming from injury, no practice. That's a matchup he got to win, no matter how good Alexander is. Coming from the entire offseason without practicing this week to play and very little, man, we gotta have Palmer winning this matchup. We gotta have Palmer winning man-to-man matchups. Otherwise, we'll see them sending the house over Josh, and they have that speed to blitz him. They have the speed to cover or running backs coming out of the backfield with Simpson and Roquan.
That's right.
So Palmer, Kincaid, again, just like you said, he gotta become, and Josh being better for him, but him also being better for Josh because, man, best hands in the draft, best hands ever. He gotta catch that ball against the Chiefs, no matter how it gets wobbled. Oh, it was wobbling. I don't care, man. I'm a former goalkeeper. I'm used to wobbling balls, and people don't care. They want you to catch it. So it's like the same stuff, brother. Catch the ball. We were brought in exactly because you were a sure-handed guy,
Yeah, went right through his arms. I mean, that was a tough break.
We need those guys stepping up because on the other side of the ball, no doubt they are stacked and they have what it takes to shut us down. So otherwise, we can see Josh running for his life again and trying to win the game by himself.
And I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that.
It's tough.
I don't want him to put the cape on this early in the year. You save that type of stuff for the playoffs. And even when he has to put on the cape, that's just an indictment on that something else is not working. When Josh has to do everything and lift everything, that means that something else is not working. There's something in the game plan that did not come to fruition like you wanted it to. So that's a bad sign anyway when he's playing that way. He was efficient last year. He did deserve the MVP because of the fact that he was doing more with less than anybody else out there. So I'll give him credit for that. I'm not a fan of everybody eats. So to make me a fan, that I need you guys to step up. I need everybody to bring their fork and plate and be ready to eat. If this is the philosophy, then you got to be ready, and you've got to be ready to contribute and help your quarterback out because he's all world. We don't debate that anymore. We know that he's all world. We know that he's worthy of all the accolades that he gets. He does need help. He cannot do it by himself, and sometimes that's what scares me about everybody eats is that it's almost like, well, Josh can just do it with anybody. And the best I saw Josh Allen and the Bills offense was under Dable in 13 seconds. That's the best I saw that offense. And I don't care about last year and all the records. And they said they scored the most points and Brandon Beane comes from WGR.
Josh was an MVP level already with Dable.
Absolutely.
With Diggs, with Beasley in the slot, options. having options.
Yes, having real weapons as options, not guys that you're just hoping on. So we'll see. I want to give these guys credit, and we'll see, and they'll get the respect that they're due if they do it. You got to do it on the field, Fernando. And this is a show me league. This is a put up or shut up league. So again, it's not fair. I wish we had a cupcake to start the season, something that, we could, maybe just ease into. But you're absolutely right. I mean, my co-host and I were at the game last year, that opener, and it was not what we expected. You know what I mean? We're like, we're down 17 to Arizona, and when are they going to wake up? Like, and we get out of there, and Josh breaks his hand on Buda Baker's helmet, and we skate out of there. But it was tough sledding. So even a cupcake is not necessarily, a guarantee, but I would have just preferred a different opponent. But this is the opponent that the schedule put out, and you've got to be ready. What an opportunity. This is a big opportunity to go, like you said earlier, make a statement to the rest of the conference. Like, listen, if Kansas City's down, guess what? We are right there with Baltimore, and not only are we right there, but we just beat them. So expect more of us and expect to see us. And I think it's a great opportunity. I'm nervous. I want us to win, but I do see that it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And also a great opportunity for Joe Brady, I believe, early in the season, because we're talking about a guy who already had some talks about becoming a head coach last season. It looked early, but now this season he has an opportunity to put up another good season and maybe become the hot candidate for next year.
At Hard Knocks to kind of show his personality a little bit.
Yeah, and everybody saw what he could do, because Brady, he inherited from an offense from Dorsey, and also coming from Dable, an offense that couldn't run the ball, and they were able to build a nice run offense, right? Alongside Cromer, obviously. But last season, I think it's undeniable that when we looked at our passing game, it didn't look fluid. It didn't look easy for Josh. It's always, most of the time, Josh having to create time and create off structure, the in-structure passing game from the Brady era, outside of screen game that is an extension of the run game, right? It's not exactly a passing game. So outside of those screen games, it didn't look good. It's not like Josh is having several options going through his reads and somebody's always open. No, it's always like he goes through some reads and he still needs to get out of the pocket, buy time, and then create something.
No layups. No layups.
No layups. Yeah, exactly.
Brian Davis used to give him layups. He used to give him clearly defined layups all the time.
Exactly. And now this year we got to see something. So against the Ravens, they're stacked. They have maybe the matchup advantages with the players on the field. It's a good time for Brady to have a nice game plan, to have some nice passing plays, to get Josh going without having to run him against those big guys and take hits, No, to get him going with the passing game in structure, on time, that would be huge. So I hope he can have something prepared for the season to get better in this department. And coaching staff gotta have a good game, because it's not like you look at those rosters and you can say, oh, you gotta win this game, you have the better pieces outside of Josh Allen. No. And even talking Josh to Lamar, I'm a big Josh guy, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the league. But
Lamar's right
Josh
there.
Is one, Lamar is right there. Number two.
He's right there.
Freaking train running the ball, and man, that dude again.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I prefer Derrick Henry than
Barkley?
Zeke in that draft.
In that draft?
I was a Derrick Henry guy. Yeah, I was a Derrick Henry. Man, I was like, dude, that dude is a train, We run a 4.2, 4.3, 40 at that time.
Yeah, he ran like a 4.3, at the combine. And
it's crazy.
And he's built like a linebacker.
That dude is my goodness. So, I'm not the best scout, okay? I didn't want Josh. Let me be clear.
Me neither.
I didn't want Josh, I was a Lamar guy, actually. But man, I got it right with Bernard.
So that saved you. That gave you your credibility back. Well, I'm excited for it Sunday. I know that, as nervous as we can be, and I don't want your audience to think that we're doom and gloom. And I told my audience the same thing last night. I can be nervous and still be excited at the same time. I'm excited for the season opener. Absolutely. I'm excited for this matchup. It's a great matchup. It's a great litmus test. And just remember out there that the season's not over. Even if we lose, it's not over. You got 16 more games left. The number 1 seed is still in effect because, again, remember, Baltimore plays a much tougher division. So there'll be more opportunities for us to catch up. Because, again, if they win, then you've got to be we're essentially down 2 games because you can't be tied with them. So there'll be more opportunities for them to slip up throughout the season. It's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I'm encouraged by that. And that way I can just come into the game relaxed and excited for it, and then just watch it and let the chips fall. But I can still acknowledge that the opponent is very, very, very formidable. So because of that, I will be a little bit nervous for sure. I will.
Awesome, Rob. To close it out, man, I want your score prediction for this one.
Oh man, I don't know. Some of my peoples are going to be watching that. All right, well then we'll say that in a perfect world Sunday night, they do find a way to turn over Lamar Jackson. They do find a way to get maybe an interception or something like that in a costly, in a timely manner. And the Bills win it 27-24. And it's the crowd, it's the defense stepping up, giving up some, but they don't give up too much, and we find a way to eke it out. So just to keep everybody happy and positive vibes. Bills 27, Ravens 24. Close game, a close game, and maybe Matt Prater kicks a winning field goal or something like that.
It would be nice for the oldest Bills ever, right? The oldest Bill ever to
his first game, he bails us out. There we go.
I love that.
Yeah,
man, I'm sorry. Today I will be the hater. People love to call me sometimes the homer, sometimes the hater. Never in between. So today, unfortunately, I believe this team has a lot of question marks, and a lot of things can go right. I love, for example, Deon Walker. Man, if this guy becomes a stud, it won't surprise me because I love him, and
he
man,
looks great. He looked
it's
great
to have a big guy again. I was missing since the big Pat Williams guy, the days, and Sam Adams,
Ted Washington, those guys.
Yeah, man, I've missed this type of big guy, and even if Deon's games isn't like them, but that big presence there, it's awesome to have, and I believe this team can play well all regular season and get to another matchup in the playoffs, maybe in a better situation, looking at those comparisons that we look today, and we can have more answers already.
Yeah, sure.
We can be like, look, Milano is really back. Look, Rosa is healthy.
Right.
Look, those rookies, they are for real. Bishop
more time
is
on
for
task
real.
for them.
But right now with the questions, man, I don't know. I think that's Ravens win, especially coming from
do it.
I'm sorry. But I
do
think 28-18 Ravens,
Oh
unfortunately, is my
man,
score for this game.
You better run and hide.
Sorry, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, stay off.
I root hard for that, but
stay off the internet for the rest of the day. Stay off the internet. You don't want to see what your mentions are going to
let me turn off all notifications and watch the game, and then come here. I'll be back with the Leading the Track post-game show in Portuguese. So I expect a lot, because here in Brazil, people love to do that, Rob. So people will come here in the comment section, be like, see, Fernando, take that. You were rooting for the Ravens. No, I'm not rooting for the Ravens. I just think
you're trying to keep yourself. You're trying to be a realist. That's me. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Listen, I really appreciate you having me on today as a guest. Again, apologies for last week, but I'm glad that we got a chance to link up. Check out Nickel City Crew. That's at Nickel City Crew. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My co-host and I, Dump Truck, we are on every single Friday at 6:00 Eastern. So even the Brazil fans, come on, guys. I welcome you guys onto the show for sure. And you guys can be a part of and interact with us as well. But we really appreciate it. So on behalf of DT, thank you, Fernando, for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Rob. Thank you for joining me. And shout out to DT as well. I had a great time at the Nickel City Crew podcast.
We're going to have you back on.
Awesome. It would be a pleasure to be there. And I really appreciate you taking your time today to be with me talking some Bills. It's always awesome to have you on the show, and really enjoyed this one. Had a blast. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I'm sure the audience liked it as well. And Bills Mafia, I'll be back So Sunday after the game, or maybe Monday, I don't know, it will be late. So yeah,
you might be sleeping.
Depends on our mood after the game.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, if the Bills win, you might be up.
They start to text me like, no, leading the charge of the down, and yeah, let's go. But we'll see. All right. I hope we are in a good mood and want it. And we will see. Thank you so much, Bills Mafia. Hit that like button, subscribe to Fernando Schmude's channel, also to Rumbling's Network channel. We are creating content from Bills Mafia to Bills Mafia. This episode will be also available on Spotify, Megaphone, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. So feel free to download and rate us there as well. We really appreciate it. So thank you, Rob. Thank you, Bills Mafia. And always go Bills.
Go Bills.